Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is a handover of the Hymer I698. So starting the walk round on the driver's side of the vehicle first, you've got your Hymer key here, which is your habitation key, and you've got your normal key, which just starts the engine. So you'd use the Hymer keys to open all the doors on the motorhome, including the habitation door, where you've got your step, which I'll show you this switch to operate the step once inside the vehicle. You've got your grey water, so this is anything you've used, so anything you've put down a plug hole, such as dishes water, hand basin water, showering water. This is opened by inside, and you would drive over a motorhome service point on the way out of your site to deposit your grey waste. Got your two fridge vents, your awning light above the door, and your fuel on the awning. Mains connection point, so to connect with mains, you get your hooker blade, lift the collar and slide on. Use the small blue clip on the left hand side when unhooking, and always hook the vehicle up first, then the power point, as we wouldn't want to expose you to a live lead. You've got your weight sticker here, so it's 3850 gross vehicle weight. Train weight, if you were to put a tow bar on and tow, couldn't exceed 5.5 ton, and then you've got your front and back axle weights. To fill up with fresh water, this is your fresh water fill up point. So again, opens with one of the habitation keys, and you put a hose pipe in there. So go and buy yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe connection ends, because it's mainly just a brass tap on most sites. Carry hose pipe with you, put your hose pipe on, fill until it simply overflows, or until you know you've got enough water on board, which you can see on the main control panel as it goes up in increments on the panel itself. At the back you do have your garage area, and in here you do have, so it's 250 kilograms maximum weight carrying in the garage. Toolkit, which has got a jack and a brace and a torn eye in there. Everything you need to change that spare wheel, which is lying in the garage. Your carpets, and you've got your own winding handle there. It is heated. You do have a light in here, and you've got tethering points just underneath the bed frame. Come to the back of the vehicle, you've got your high level brake light and your bike rack. So it's got two bike rack on here. So what you would do is, bike's on there, goes through the crossbars, and then what you would want to do is put some sort of bike lock around your bikes, as you wouldn't want them to go missing when you stop at the services or leave the vehicle unattended. You'll also notice above the number plate you do have a reversing camera. Liquid petroleum gas on the other side of your garage. So in here you can fit 2 bottles, and you can fit the bigger bottles, so the 13s. This pipe here is a waste extension pipe for the grey water hose. So it clips on to the grey water pipe on the other side of the vehicle. So should you not be able to get close enough to the grey water disposal point, you can decart the waste out by using the extension pipe. So you can fit 2 bigger bottles, like I've said. You'd use the straps to strap them in. And then what you'll need is, you'll need a gas spanner or an adjustable wrench. It's a left hand thread with gas opposite threads, and then you just want to nip it up and then turn the bottle on and off from the top. So you turn it clockwise to close and anti-clockwise to open. Always make sure it's turned off before you travel, as it's the safer way to travel. Should you be involved in any collisions, if the gas is off, it's a bonus. Cassette locker. So this is where your toilet is. So with the toilet, you've got to ensure that the blade's closed on the bottom bowl of the toilet first, and then what you'll be able to do is, you'll be able to lift the green handle and slide out. You can then wheel it to the waste disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block, and then to empty, you can remove the green cap, this one here, press the green button and tip out. Once you've tipped out, you want to put some water in, give it a rinse, tip out again. And if you're using the liquid form of chemical, the cap, the green cap, it holds 120 ml of liquid. You just fill with the green or the blue. Or if you're using the tablets, you put the cassette in, flush a pint of water down into the cassette, and then what you would do is you'd follow by a tablet in the cellophane sachets, which are either the green or the blue. And remember to use either Thetford toilet paper or the cheaper toilet paper, not premium brands like Shell and Andrex, because they'll swell. The cheaper stuff doesn't swell as much, so it won't block the cassette. Got your boiler flue here, and then in here is your anti-frost drain control. So your anti-frost drain control, it'll drop the water in the boiler at 3 degrees. So the boiler doesn't only heat the vehicle, it heats the water, which is 10 litres. In the winter months, it's very important that you drain the boiler down. And to do so, the diamond is across the vehicle, pointed front to back. The button will pop out and the nib will pop out. That's it now open. That 10 litres of water will start making its way out underneath the chassis. You then open this one as well, just to stop any water in the pipes. You'd open the waste out, drain the waste off from outside. You'd open all the taps throughout the vehicle to stop any airlock. And you'd remove the shower head from the shower hose. When coming to reuse the vehicle, so in the spring when you want to start using the motorhome again, you'll obviously want to put water on board. So close this, close that, close the waste, close all the taps within the vehicle, fill it up with a hose pipe from the other side like I've just shown you. Come in, put the panel on, put the pump on, go to the cold side of the tap first. You'll get automatic cold water because it'll start coming through from the main tank via the pump to the tap. Go to the hot side, it'll cough, sputter. What it's doing is it's pushing all the air out the boiler behind here through the taps until you get a free flow of water. This is when you know that your system is pressurized, and you do all the other taps and then you're good to go, as you have a pressurized system for the upcoming season. But always remember to drain it down. Don't rely on it because it will drop at 3 degrees, but always check it because it's not covered under warranty frost damage, and it can be very expensive should frost damage happen. You will be looking at a very expensive bill to repair the vehicle. Beside the passenger door, you have your diesel filler, which again opens with the Hymer key, and you'd fill with diesel fuel from here. Engine battery underneath the floor. You've got all your fuses underneath here, so behind the wires you'll see the fuses just down here. So they're just standard blade fuses underneath the passenger seat. Do carry some, as it's the electric block unit there with the fuses in for the motorhome. So carry some spares in case one does blow a fuse, you can replenish the fuse. And then underneath the bonnet, lifting the bonnet off, you've got all your gives you access to underneath your engine bay. So you've got your screen wash here, coolant, brake fluid, oil, and your oil dipstick. Weight plates again, but go off the one beside the door at the back because that's the Hymer weight plate. And then should you ever need to jump start the vehicle, you'd earth off somewhere where you can earth, probably the engine hoist. And then just under, or earth off here, sorry, so there's a designated earthing point just there. And then here is your positive just underneath this flap here. Above the door you do have your heating and hot water controls, your main panel and your pump switch. So I'll go through the main panel first. So to turn on and off, you just press this button in here and it'll bring on the green light, which means it's on. you can turn it off and you can turn it back on. Indicates we are hooked up on and receiving 240 volt mains electric. And then if you use the button here to scroll up and down, so start at the back, you've got your leisure battery reading, fresh water, which you can see is full, wastewater, which is empty, and then the battery at the front of the vehicle, which is the engine battery, as you can see, is showing full as well. With the batteries, what you want to do is you want to always read them when the hookup is out, as when the hookup is in, it will give a slight false reading as it's receiving obviously mains charge. To turn the pump on and off, so depending if you've got water on the vehicle or not, you can turn the pump on and off through this isolation switch located just in the right hand corner of the top of the door. And then your Truma Combi E, so at the top you have which energy source you want to use. So starting at the very top, you've got two wiggly lines, which is 2 kilowatts. And then you've got one wiggly line, which is 1 kilowatt, which is equivalent to 750 watts. So depending on what current you get through your hookup lead on the ampage, and the current from the site will determine whether you use 1 or 2. So normally on a big site you would use 2 kilowatts, such as a camping caravan and club. On smaller CL sites or private owned little sites, you may have to use 1 kilowatt. Gas on its own, if you were wild camping, obviously you would have no other source to heat the vehicle or the water off than gas, because you're not hooked up, you're in the middle of nowhere. And then you've got gas in 1 kilowatt and gas in 2 kilowatts. Gas in 2 kilowatts you'd use if you're away in the winter, or you go skiing, or it's really cold and you just want to get the water to temperature very quick, or the vehicle. You'd use both sources together for about 20 minutes, and then you turn the gas off and just allow the electric to continue to heat the vehicle. And then below this is what you're heating, so whether you're heating the water or you're heating the vehicle or you're heating both. So off's in the middle, and as you can see there, you've got the water temperatures at the top. So you've got 60 degrees of heating the water, 40 degrees of heating your water. So 60 degrees normally for your dishes, 40 normally for showering. Off in the middle, heating on its own, which is the gas flame, which is where the 1 to 5 comes in, which is the thermostat. 5 is equivalent to 30 degrees. And then you've got heating the vehicle and heating the water at 60 degrees. So if you want both, it's the bottom one. Otherwise, you can choose which source and which energy selection you are going to use. In your kitchen, you've got 3 lit gas burners there. So allow them to cool down first before you put the glass lid down, otherwise there is a chance that you could shatter them. So always make sure that they're nice and cool before you put them down. On this side you've got obviously your kitchen tap, and your hot water is getting up the temperature. Cutlery drawer and gas isolation taps, which are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. Any problems with gas, will always recommend you to turn the bottle off just to be safe. These are mainly for when the technicians test the vehicle and the gas appliances on their annual habitation service. Large storage drawers below. Always push the catches in to lock the drawers in place. And then above, if you just push the catch in, you do have storage. Your satellite boxes in here, which is this one here, which I'll get onto in a moment when we do the telly. And then you do have your oven at the back and the grill at the top. You may want to take this out when travelling if it's rattling, or wrap it up, as this can be the main cause of rattling on some motorhomes, but it might be different on something like this, as it's freezer box and fridge. When you come to winterize, so you've done the water, you want to clean the fridge out, take everything out, wipe it out, and then what you want to do is you don't want to shut the doors. So to allow the door not to close on itself, on both lights, there's one in the freezer and there's one in the fridge. Push this little lug out and these two tabs will come out. This will stop the door from shutting on itself, and you can get your hands around the seal, and this will allow air circulation in to stop the clean air going mouldy and smelly. And then in the middle of both, you've got your control panel. So turn the fridge and freezer on and off from here. A stands for automatic energy selection, so it'll choose the best source it has available. So at the moment we're hooked up and we've got gas on, it's went to hook up, which is the plug here. If I was to take the hookup out now, it would switch over to gas, which is this one. And if I was to start the engine, it would go to the 12 volt setting, which comes from the engine alternator. It's not off the leisure battery, and this is designed to only keep the temperature that it was previously set at. So with the 12 volt, if you're lucky enough to keep this at home, hook the vehicle up a few days before you go away. Not only does it give the leisure battery a good chance to charge, you put the fridge on, you'd allow that to cool. The night before, you'd put your shopping in, you'd allow that to cool overnight. And then when you're ready to travel, if it's on automatic, you just simply start the engine and go. If not, you just manually change by pressing, and it's going to fail now because we have no 12 volt off the engine. Otherwise, you just press individually and you'll hear the gas ticking in the background until it lights, and you've got your temperature on here. This setting is to stop the rubber door seal from sticking when the freezer box is on at full temperature. So when pre-chilling, you probably want it on full temperature. When you put your shopping in, you probably want to turn it down to 3 or 4 being the maximum, so it doesn't chill and freeze your shopping. And then you would just turn off on here. But like I said, with the 12 volt setting, it only keeps the temperature the same, so it acts like a big cool box. And this will help if you're moving from home to a site and you've pre-chilled, or you're moving from site to site. Now in the washroom, so you've got your shower to your left hand side, so always make sure that the shower screens are tied back before you start travelling. And remember, in the winter, it's always important that you remove your shower head from your hose, because as you can see, it's got quite a loop in there. Any water could potentially freeze and bust this hose, so lie that down in the shower tray with all the mixer taps throughout the vehicle open. Skylight does have a blackout blind on and a fly screen, and open, you just turn and push up. But always make sure all your skylights and windows are closed before you do start travelling. Hand basin, and there's your hot water coming through, even warmer than the kitchen now. Bathroom light, toiletry cabinet, and you've got one underneath the toilet roll holder. And then operate the toilet, ensure that the pump's on, flush the toilet by pressing the blue button for the electric flush, and then open the blade. It's simply open. But when using it, what you want to do is flush first, open the blade, flush after use, and then close. And then if you're using any of that pink liquid, so if you're buying the chemical in packs of 2, the blue and the pink, obviously the pink's more for a caravan with a separate reservoir header tank. Motorhomes don't have this, it's fed off the main freshwater tank, but what you can do is if you dilute it into a spray bottle, you can spray the bowl before you flush. And it works the same way. At the back of the vehicle you've got your fixed island bed, which if you pull the catch you can slide it down and slide it back up into day position, so you give more space to walk around the bed. Bedroom lights are here, and then the ones up above your reading lights, you've got one setting which is the blue light, which is like the nighttime light, and then you've got the actual bezel that comes on if you press again, and that's for both of them. Wardrobes, same skylight as the washroom with blackout blind and fly screen on. Wardrobe that side, and some storage up above the bed. 2 handy storage pockets on either side for your bits and pieces. Some storage underneath the bed, and then underneath this panel here, it's very important because this is your freshwater tank. This is how to drain the fresh water off in the winter, or if you've taken on contaminated water. All you need to do is do 2 turns, full turns to the left, and this will drain the tank off directly out underneath the chassis, and that's to drain it down. Or if you just want to let some water out, you can just do a quarter of a turn, and that'll drain it out and leave a remaining of 20 litres. But keep an eye on it when you drain it down on the panel above the door, and then you can just shut it off when you think you've got enough water on board, from dropping from a full tank down to 20-30 litres to travel. So to operate the TV, so you've got a satellite dish on the roof, so to operate that and get that to search and find Astra 2, you press this switch here, which puts the dish up and down. You want to find Astra 2, which is automatically set at, so you just need to press the dish, and that'll find TV signal in the UK and France. And obviously if you start going down into Spain and Portugal, you will need to change the satellite, which is where you would use the scroll buttons in the middle and the tick button on the end to determine which satellite you want. But just leave it as it is, as it's set for this country and France. And as you can see, the telly's on. So this is an Avtex TV. So there's a little rocker switch here, which is where you can turn on and off, and then you would use the remote, as that gives the main supply to the telly. Use the remote to turn the telly on and off. You've got source, which you can see it's on satellite TV, and then if you are struggling for a signal, you can retune by going to TV setup, down to here. You want to also make sure satellite is on Astra 2 as well, because sometimes that can be the problem. That's just changed to Astra 1, so always make sure it's on Astra 2 28.2E, and then you just go down to transponder, search, click search. That'll do an auto tune, and it'll find as many channels as it can in your area. Obviously if you were going to France, you'd have to change that setting where it said Astra 2E to Hotbird or whatever you need for the right satellite wherever you are in the country or further afield. To spin the seats round, you've got this little lever here, so if you just edge it forward, you'll be able to slide the seat round. Should it get stuck, you just pull the seat back and forth to turn it round. To then recline the seat in the forward facing position for the bed above to come down, just turn this lever here and fold the seat, and that's exactly the same for the drivers, to allow the overcab bed to come down. And then once the seats are folded down, you can unbuckle the seat belt and pull the bed down. And there you have a second double bed, individual lights up in each corner, and then you do have a silver screen in here which goes along the windscreen from inside. So this is more for a thermal property rather than the concertina curtains. But then always push it back up and make sure the belt's on, so that when you're driving it's not going to come down when the vehicle's in motion. So now in the cab, to the right of the driver you do have your handbrake, and then you've got these switches here, which is a step switch. So if you put your step out by the switch by the kitchen and you're about to pull away and the step's out like it is now, you can just press this button here, and as you can see the step's neatly tucked away, because it doesn't go in on the ignition or engine being started. It'll just buzz and you've just got to press the button to take the step in. Heated mirrors, and then you do have your adjustment on your mirrors, so you've got two on each side, one there and one down below. It'll adjust the electric mirrors. Headlight adjustment. Trip computer is on the end of the wiper stalk, so it'll show you range, your average and instant consumption, your travelling times and so on, and if you want to reset that you just press and hold. And then you've got your lights and your indicators. Cruise control, so you just turn it on and push up, the little green light will come in the bottom of the rev count, and you just push up to set and then push up to speed up or pull down to slow down. Should you have to cancel it, you can cancel on the side of the stalk without pressing the brakes, and then just push up to reset. As this is a Comfortmatic gearbox, so when parking it doesn't have a park, so you've got to apply the handbrake. So you can either have it in, you can park it in gear, park it in neutral, or you can park it in reverse. As long as the handbrake's applied, it'll not move. But obviously, as it's got no park, you do need to always remember to apply the handbrake. So neutral at the top, then to put into gear, just let it go off to the left, and you'll see it says A and M, so it'll come up with auto 1 in the bottom right hand corner of this little screen. If it comes up with just 1 on its own, it's in manual. Tap again and it's in auto, and then you can go up and down your gears and then down into reverse. Traction control locks and unlocks the doors, and then to manually lock them you just push the catches back on this one, and you just lift that one up into the red, so it shows red and green. You just lift it up into the red there, and that will lock a habitation door. Hazards, front and rear fog lights, 12 volt points here, glove box, lockable glove box, and then you do have your climate control, so off, on, temperature, where you want it to distribute to, so footwell, face and screen, fan speed, and whether you've got the aircon on, which is this button here, you're recirculating the air, or you're putting the max on for the screen. Your WAKU head unit, so you've got your radio, which is just FM, search and scan, and then just press and hold and you can preset 6. You've got a disc if you want a CD in, and then to connect your phone you just go to Bluetooth plus. It'll start to do a search and it'll find nearby devices, but search on your phone also at the same time, and then you can also find the head unit, which is a WAKU MC402, which is the model number. And then you've got all your settings and things, but we'll keep it nice and simple, just the radio, the disc and the Bluetooth. To black the A-class front out on an evening, so you've got one here, screen, and then this end is magnetic, so it just clips onto there. And then if you undo the 2 term press studs on here, pull them out, they're magnetic as well, and you've got the same on the passenger side as the driver's.